Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my July reading wrap up. I read 12 books and I'll be doing my ratings, what the book was about, and if I would recommend them with a yes, no, or maybe. As always, please like and subscribe and follow me on TikTok and Instagram at bookish.cj. First up is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Clear. I'm not gonna lie, this has been one of my most disappointing reads of this year so far. I did rate this one 2.5 stars, which was pretty low for me. I'm usually a pretty generous rater, but I was just so disappointed. This is following Charlie and Eve. They find like a killer deal on an old property, and they flip houses for a living, so they're super excited about it. And one day Eve is home alone when a man knocks on the door with his family, claiming that he used to live here as a child, and asks if he can show his family around. Eve is a horrible people pleaser and allows them in. Afterwards, things begin happening. The youngest daughter goes missing for a little bit, weird apparitions, just very strange things begin happening, and the family just doesn't seem to want to leave. It's such an interesting concept and I was super excited about it. I was really into it from the beginning, and then it just kept going. It kept getting weirder and weirder. It kept adding stuff on but that never really felt like full explanations of everything. And the ending just was so strange. Like, I could see it maybe playing out on a movie better, which I'm always reluctant to say, but I do feel like maybe this is one that's more meant for a screen adaptation. I just personally didn't like the ending. I felt very unsatisfied. I felt like I read all of this and had no payoff. I sometimes like books where it ends where you kind of have to have your own theories on it, like people debate about it and you just kind of get to decide how it happened, but this was one that I didn't. I wanted answers, like for sure answers on what was going on. And unfortunately, this just did not hit for me. I was so disappointed too. It split it up with all these other little documents and stuff about this property. Like, it was just going so well, and I was also getting frustrated with Eve and some of the choices she made. Like, I don't know if I consider myself a people pleaser. I mean, I like to make people happy, I guess, but she took it to an extreme level. Like, I would have put my foot down ages ago. The moral of the story is don't let people in your house, even if they claim to used to live here. I know most of this stuff doesn't happen in real life, but just don't do it. Let's just avoid that and don't let people inside your house, okay? Obviously, I wouldn't recommend that one. Some people might really like it, but I'm gonna say no on recommending that book. My first arc of the month, Killing Sadie by Rachel Peterson. This is a YA whodunit mystery. What happens is Sadie Cooper, homecoming bee, she's suddenly killed at a party one night by Mason Vreeland. He's kind of like an artsy loner type, and then her boyfriend Ben proceeds to kill him after discovering that he killed her. It takes place in the police station mostly. It's has the boyfriend Ben, her twin sister Jane, and then her best friend Liz, and it switches between their different interrogations and their perspectives of like the past events, what led up to the party and what happened at the party. It's a very interesting idea. I like it in concept. I like the switching of the point of views, and you never know who is telling the truth. There's definitely lying going on, but you don't know who the liar is. Unfortunately, I know who the liar was. I kind of guessed where this was going. Just like my dislike of the characters, you know. I feel like I have a pretty good intuition for book characters most of the time, and my intuition was like straight on, so I wasn't very surprised by the ending, and it just didn't, I mean, there were twists, but they were obvious twists. I don't know, I just ultimately didn't enjoy it. I do think some what people getting into YA books may really enjoy this. If you're not like maybe trying to figure out if you like murder mystery or something, they may like this because it's an easy one to get through. It is a quick binge. It just unfortunately didn't stick the landing for me. So I would say maybe if you're wanting to try to get into YA, like mystery, murder, mystery, thriller, give this one a chance. But for me personally, I would say no. It was 3 stars for me. Geneva Rose's The Girl I Was. This was a break from her normal genre. She normally writes more in the like horror thriller like genre, and this was a break from that. This is actually following Alexis, who her whole life is falling apart, and she blames her college self for where everything went wrong. And then she is having a night of drinking with a unique bottle of a unique beverage, and she wakes up back in the early 2000s when she's in college. But the twist of all this time travel is that she is there along with her younger college self, so she's trying to make her college self better. Everyone thinks that she's like her older sister. It's very, I honestly really, really enjoyed this. If you are someone technical on the rules of time travel, don't read this, but if you can ignore that and just take this for what it was and have a good time with it, it's a really fun book. It really makes you think. If you were around in the early 2000s, and you may appreciate the nostalgia vibes as well. I thought it was really honestly meaningful. I will say the ending little scene was kind of abrupt for me, but I did think the epilogue and all that was very cute. I ultimately really, really enjoyed this. I did get annoyed with the main character iterations of the main character sometimes with the way that they acted towards each other or just acted in general. But ultimately I thought it was a very meaningful book. It made me think and I really enjoyed it. I would say yes for this one. I'm recommending it. Red Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. This was another one, and look how cool that looks. This was another one that I was super, super excited about. I did ultimately rate this one 3 stars as well. This was not a good month for my thriller, horror, mystery vibes. This one is kind of a unique one. In '93, there was like a group of young filmmakers trying to make a unique horror flick, but now it was never released because of an incident that occurred towards the end of the filming, and now years later, like, people keep trying to reboot it and everything, and now the one guy that's still alive from the film, because over time everyone from the film has become deceased, he's kind of involved in a recent reboot that's happening of it. It's very strange. So it's like split between the screenplay of the original film that was written out and then like the present day timeline and stuff like that of what's going on with the only guy that's still there. And it's hard to tell what was true because there's things that happen that they make it seem like it's real and then it's not. I actually really, contrary to Power Belief, really enjoyed the screenplay parts. I wanted to get to those more than I wanted to do the main plot stuff, honestly. I feel like it was kind of depressing. I thought there were really good things in it. I could see what they were trying to do. I could see the interesting like look into the horror genre and the way they try to subvert some of those expectations and everything. I just felt like the ending was just kind of weird, and it just felt like I read all this with no like true payoff. I just was very disappointed in the ending. I could see some people really liking it. I mean, it is very unique and a different type of horror book. I don't know. I just don't like the undefined endings as much as I thought I did in certain books, because this one and We Used to Live Here, both of these, I just felt like the ending was so just like, why did I read this? And I do feel, I'm gonna say maybe still in recommending it, because I do think there were people that would really enjoy this in the horror genre. I was just not one of those people, so personally I'd say no for myself, but I would say maybe, because I do think there are some people that would really love the uniqueness of this book. It just wasn't for me. Beach Read by Emily Henry. This was one of my summer reads. I had read some of those thrillers and stuff to break it up because I was doing so many like summer romance books, but I really enjoyed this one. There hasn't been an Emily Henry so far that I haven't enjoyed. This one's following Augustus and January. They're both authors. She does romances and he does more literary fiction. They have very opposing views on their writing styles and everything, but they actually knew each other back in school, but then they both end up living in neighboring beach houses, and after a kind of rough start, they end up striking a deal later on where she's going to try to write a literary fiction book and he is going to try to write a romance, and they kind of have workshops together where she goes with him to interview like members of this cult thing, and she takes him like to the fair, like they go on kind of more cliche romancy things together. And of course, it's a romance. They, of course, try not to fall in love, but we know how that goes. There's also kind of some other stuff going on with it. He has like a personal like issue with relationships and everything, and she's having to deal with her father finding out something about him after his passing later in life. So it also deals with she always has a really good, like, deep concepts as well mixed in her books, and she deals with it very well. I felt like the humor in this, along with those heavy things, was handled very well, and they both kind of grew in the story. I love seeing their romance grow. I rated this one 4 stars. I would recommend it. The only reason I didn't do it 5 is there has some, 5 stars has that feeling that just like, wow, like I love this book, like I want to read it again, I want to recommend it to everybody, and this one just didn't do that for me, but I still think it's an enjoyable time, and I would recommend it definitely if you're still wanting a little summer read. I know it's almost the end since we're going into August, but if you haven't read this, highly recommend. Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. This was my first Megan Quinn book. This one is this is following Scotty. She works at this new company, but it's like almost all married men other than her boss, who is a woman, who comes by for a meeting. Well, everyone's talking about spouses and all of this stuff, and in an effort to fit in, she mentions a husband that is non-existent. And when one of her coworkers points out her lack of wedding ring, she makes up a story of them having issues. Unfortunately, her female boss's husband is a marriage counselor sort, kinda, and she's just, for some reason, her boss is very invested in the married lives of her subordinates and insists that she go do a counseling session with her husband. Enter Wilder Wells. This is the brother of one of the female characters' friends. He's like super rich, bored, and really big on improv, so he says yes, of course. Well, in the course of their therapy session, he ends up signing them up for a marriage retreat that the company puts on for their workers and their spouses, because they really try to encourage healthy marriage relationships and stuff. It was very, very weird. You really have to suspend disbelief with how invested these people in the love lives of their subordinates and their marriages. And the way that the bosses act as well at the marriage retreat was very, very strange. I cannot imagine a company that puts some of their subordinates into a cabin with naked pictures on the walls and certain items all in there and everything. It was just that part was very weird for me, and I was kind of struggling if I was going to get over that part because it was so wild and to my brain. But I stuck it out, and I did ultimately enjoy Scotty and Wilder. I think they really needed each other at this time in her life. She had gone through a divorce, and he was just at a place in his life where he didn't know what he was wanting to do. And so I did ultimately enjoy it. I will say it got very, very spice heavy, like 50-60% of the way in, and like it was almost like getting overdone at that point. Like I was kind of like, can we get back to the plot, please? Because I don't mind spice, but I want it to be balanced, and I want it to push the plot like forward. And I just feel like whenever it's saturated in the book, I'm like, I'm reading a book for the story, not for that. But it did make me laugh a lot. There were some hilarious scenes, and so I did give it 4 stars, because if it makes me laugh generally, I usually like the book enough to give it 4 stars, and I did think the romance was good, and it was a sweet book. I'm excited to read more of her, see if maybe I enjoy those even more than this one. I have another summer one, which I may not get to since we're back in August now. And I have her Christmas ones, which I'm really going to try to read. The first 2, I don't know if another one's going to come out, but I really want to try to read those later this year in Christmas season. So 4 stars, and I would say yes, just know the coworker relationships in this are very, very strange, but ultimately it really dealt with some good topics, and I enjoyed it, so I would say yes, I'd recommend it. Made You Look by Tanya Grant. I rated this one 3 stars as well. I told you this wasn't a good month for the thriller genre. This one is supposed to follow a group of influencers and their team that go out to this new like cabin, like kind of out in the snowy like woods. They're supposed to be taking pictures and making media to promote the place before it opens. There's Sydney, who's like major presence on social media, like kind of like the it girl, and there's Caitlin, who is also a social media presence, but she can't seem to get out of Sydney's shadow. And then there's Lucy, Sydney's best friend, who is like her full-time photographer. Like she takes care of all of the camera work and everything. And then of course there's some other characters there as well. And then suddenly a killer pops up and people start dying, and guys, I just did not enjoy this. I really was looking forward to it. I thought with how big the influencing world is getting, this would be a really interesting take on it, but it alternates between like 2 points of view. The deaths seem so, for lack of a better word, lackluster, and like the way they happen. Like, you hear killer on the loose and you're thinking like crazy, like you know, I mean, when you think of like slasher movies and stuff, this was not that. They just felt kind of, and then like they would happen and then it's like we've moved on way too quickly from this. They also kept making really dumb choices, and there's like a lot of snow that comes in. Like and the characters were so kind of mean to each other. Like, they weren't pleasant to read about. Lucy has been going through some personal stuff as well, and like there's just I really wanted to like this. I thought I was going to really love it, but it just felt very lackluster. The ending, I could see it from a mile away. Again, I feel like I have a pretty good instinct for characters, and I just kind of felt like I knew where it was going, and I was right, and I just didn't enjoy it. It felt like I'm a big, like I said, epilogue person, and I didn't really like even that one. I felt happy about one thing, but I don't want to spoil it, because if you do want to give it a go, maybe you'd enjoy it more than I do. But I would say no on recommending this one. It just wasn't fun for me, and it didn't live up to the expectation that I have for it. And on a more positive note, I read One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. Last month I did read Every Summer After, and I really enjoyed that one. I gave that one 4 stars. I just didn't like one of the things that occurred in the end. It's something I really struggle with reading in books, so I didn't really enjoy that part. That's the only reason I took it down to 1 star. So I haven't watched the show. I need to, but I was really excited about this one because I heard that people love this one even more. This one follows Alice and Charlie. Charlie's the brother of Sam, who's the main male character in the first book, and so this is Charlie's story, but it's from the point of view of Alice, who, when she was young, she spent one summer at the lake, and she actually took a picture of Charlie, Sam, and Percy in the yellow banana like little boat that they have. You kind of see it on there. She took a picture of them that kind of really like meant a lot to her. She does photography and everything, and she's really trying to get back to remembering why she wanted to be a photographer, what it means to her, and wanting to get back to what inspires her in photography and doing the type of pictures that she wants to do, which I really loved in this book, Alice's personal growth. I thought it was beautiful to see. I really loved Alice as a character, the relationship she had with her grandmother. They end up going to the lake. Her grandmother has a fall, and it's just kind of really sad because she's not able to do what she was doing. So Alice decides to take them back to the lake for that summer. And of course, Charlie's still there and everything. And the guy that owns the cabin that they stay at kind of asked Charlie to help them around the house and do some things to make it more suitable for her grandmother to get around, and kind of does some work for them while they're there. And of course, him and Alice hit it off and start hanging out and all the things. But this was a beautiful story. I really loved getting to see some of Sam and Percy and their happily ever after. That was really amazing. Like I said, I really loved Alice's growth in here. It was beautiful to see. I did give it 4 stars, and the only reason that this one lost a star was because I also hate I don't know if miscommunication is the right word. I do hate that as well, but the almost like withholding of information, I hate that thing. Like, these are grown adults. It drives me insane when, like, in a book, when like a character withholds something to protect someone, or to, like, you know, they have their reasoning behind it. It never goes well, and so that's the only reason I lost a star. I will say I felt like it was handled well and quickly, and I do understand where it came from. It makes me mad, and so it lost a star. But I would highly recommend this one. I know that, again, that it's kind of the end of summer now, but I think this one would be a good one if you want to kind of end July to start of August and get this one in if you haven't already. But definitely read Every Summer After first if you haven't, because this one has that spoiler, or just read that one first. Then that makes this one even more meaningful, but absolutely highly recommend. One of my most personal disappointing reads, Close to You by Nissa Renzo. This is the first in the Through the Years series. Guys, I was so excited for this one. I love Boys of Tommen. It's one of my favorite romance series, and this seemed like it was going to be similar to that. This follows Milo, who, when she was young, her father took away her ability to speak, and something ends up happening to him at the very, very, not a spoiler, it happens at the very, very beginning, and she ends up taken away for a while, and she ends up growing up in a home with adoptive parents and meets Ashby. They grow up very, very close. They're best friends, everything. And then, of course, they get to high school and starts turning into something more. But he's a swimming star, but he's dealing with a lot of pressure from that. And then she's dealing with severe bullying, largely because of the fact that she can't speak. The thing that drove me insane with this book is, on the back, it is marketed that they are foster siblings. I was picturing one of those giant group homes where the people running it can barely differentiate between the kids. They are adopted siblings. They grow up together from the age of 6 and 7, and they have another adopted brother. They grow up in that little 3-child home with very loving, amazing adoptive parents. Love them, except for where the heck were they when all that was happening? But adopted siblings, I couldn't get past that. If you can get past that, maybe you'd enjoy this. I just couldn't. Now, I will also say, you can tell this is a debut novel. The writing hasn't matured as much yet. It also got very slow once you get to the second part. It got very repetitive. I feel like we were just kind of just day-to-day going with Milo, and it just got very, very slow. And I will say, I love the secondary characters. The friendships in this group are very strong, which is another reason I really love Boys of Tommen. I love Found Family, and I love the friendships in the core group in those books. And this does have that. The similarities are also a little, almost too much. Tiny little Shannon, Boys of Tommen, tiny little Milo, both have abusive home lives, and then they have a sports star, rugby for Johnny, swimming for him, who's going under a lot of pressure. They have the goofy best friend, Gibbsy, and I already forgot his name in this one. Stan. Goodness, I should have known that. Stan in this one. The girl best friend, Claire and Scotty. The similarities, there was just a lot of them. This one just makes me so sad, guys. I thought I was gonna love this, and then I got the adopted siblings, and I was like, is this not bothering anyone else? Because one of my favorite BookTuckers highly recommended this, and I just couldn't get past it myself. That was just very, very weird for me. I do want to read the second book. I do think that there's potential. I think there's going to be growth in this author. I could see it getting better, and I do want to read the stories for some of the other characters that aren't adopted siblings. I just couldn't get past that. I did ultimately give this one 3 stars, and I would say maybe if you can get past the adopted siblings thing and know that this is a debut novel. I kind of said that felt like the Wattpad version of Boys of Tommen, but if you can get past that, I do think there's potential in this author, and I do plan on reading the second book to see if that one improves and if I enjoy that one more, with having a different relationship being the main focus of the book. So unfortunately, I would say maybe. Then I read my second arc, Pink Ink by Avina St. Graves. This one comes out August 4th. This one is a dark romance. This is following Raina and Maddox. Raina is a college film student, and Maddox is a famous artist, and he comes in to take over her film class after the other teacher has something occur, and so he takes over the class. Well, they had kind of had not the best first meeting, but she finds him super attractive. There's a lot of tension between them. She, in her films for class, has been basing them off of these murders that have been occurring, and she's the only one that has connected these to the same person. She knows there's a serial killer going, there's a serial killer in the town that she's in, but the police don't even put them together because they're all very unique, but she's been following it, but she doesn't know that serial killer is in fact Maddox, the teacher that she is all hot and bothered over. I'm usually not a big, huge, dark romance person, and I gave this one 4 stars. I'm a big Criminal Minds fan, and the serial killing aspect of it, the way that it's done, kind of felt like a Criminal Minds thing to me. It definitely has some gore in there. The film art part of this book was really amazing. I've always loved that stuff. I'm not a very artistic person, and I'm not a film critic. I mean, I love watching movies and forming my opinions on them, but I'm not super deep about them. But I love getting to see into these characters and their minds and their thoughts about the art and film world. I thought that was really cool to see. I really hope someone reads this and loves it and has artistic ability and can make fan art of some of the things, because I have one of those, I can't really picture things very well, visualize in my brain, so I would love to see someone's interpretation of the art that's described in those books. I will say there's a page in the beginning that, in some, fantasy series, they'll give you, what certain titles or classes and stuff mean. There is a page in this. Don't skip that, because I think that aspect of the book would have been very confusing if I hadn't read that first, because there's kind of, this other thing, little plot involved in the book, which is kind of the main issue between our couple. I wish we could have seen more of the secondary characters. I'm a big, like I said, fun family person, so this could be more of a personal preference. This was just very heavily focused on the main couple, which I'm sure other people would be okay with, and of course I know it is a romance. I just always like to have that balance of the friendship or siblingship. I love to see that in there. I wish we could have seen more of it. It just felt like it was kind of just barely brushed over. The spice was very well done. It felt like it was balanced very well by the rest of the actual plot. I thought she did a really good job in that way. It didn't feel overwhelming and overdone, so I really liked the way that she did that. The characters were also very snarky. I loved especially his inner thoughts. He has a lot of issues with his parents and everything, for reasons that you'll have to read for, but just this inner snarkiness and the banter between them, really loved that. Their sense of humor was very well, and it helped kind of balance out the dark themes of the book. Ultimately, I really, really enjoyed it. I wish we could have seen more in the epilogue. I'm someone that loves all the happily ever after, all the future stuff, so I wish we could see more, but I did also like the way it ended. It made sense for that couple. I absolutely loved it. I would say definitely yes. Even if you're not a dark romance fan, I think give this one a chance. Maybe you'll really enjoy it, because I did, and I'm not usually a big dark romance person. So I would say yes, I'm recommending this. And this comes out August 4th, so I'm probably going to be posting this today, which is July 31st. And so it should be coming out in 4 days. So pre-order or buy it and enjoy it. I hope you love it. Also, the dedication just sets the tone for the whole book. Tiny Nightmares. This is just a collection of very short tales of horror, very short horror stories. I mean, literally be a couple pages. That's one and that's another one. I gave this one 3 stars. Just because there were some really, really good ones, some ones that sit with you, some ones that make you think, but then there were some very weird, confusing ones that I just did not enjoy, so I just had a met in the middle for a happy little medium and gave it 3 stars. I think what I'd done originally was I would read 1 or maybe 2 a day, but I just kind of got to the point where I was over, and I just binged it the back half the other day. I think this would be good for spooky season if you're someone that's really big on that. Maybe read a few of these a day, kind of get in that mode. I would say maybe, so if you're a big horror fan, or I said, if you want a spooky season little thing to add in, especially maybe if you don't have a lot of time, maybe fit this in at the beginning or end of the day, then I would say yes. But if you aren't a horror fan, don't read this. I wouldn't say it's super scary. There's just some very unsettling ones that definitely kind of stick with you, but I would say maybe. It was 3 stars. It was a good little breakup read to break up some of my longer books that I was trying to hit. Last but not least, I read Hate Me, Take Me by Laura Bishop. This is my last arc for this month. This one also comes out August 4th. I did not realize that this is number 2. There is another one called Love Me, Stalk Me. I have not read that one. I wish I would have known that, because I would have tried to read that before I got to this book, because it does kind of have some spoilers in this one for that first one, and so that made me a little disappointed. And so I wish I would have known that, but I didn't even realize it till I was partway in, and then I looked it up and then didn't see at the bottom of the back here that it has the Love Me, Stalk Me in it, so I didn't make that connection. So that kind of stung. But so this is following Amanda and Cade. Amanda is on this like this Obsess app. It's like gives you like an AI boyfriend, like you put in what you want and you chat with this AI boyfriend or whatever, and then suddenly it has a feature where it can match you with a real person that matches your AI creation, and she ends up going through with it, and she ends up meeting someone that wears a motorcycle helmet that she's super interested in, but she doesn't realize that that person is Cade, who happens to be her kind of ex-husband. They had a whirlwind marriage and were together for like a month in Vegas, and then an incident occurred and he just dropped off the face of the earth, and so she has been dealing with that for 8 years. This is a very long time in between, so this is kind of like a second chance romance. I was very conflicted about this one. I ended up giving it 3 stars, which I'm very, very sad about, honestly. The main character, Amanda, is like a pink wearing skincare silk mask, like she has a pink little gun type of girl, very into fashion. I am not that way. It was hard for me to connect with her. I did really enjoy the friendship and sisterhood, like between her sister Raven and then her best friend, who's the main female character of the first book. And I think her sister will probably be the main one for the third book, is the hints I was getting from this book. I really enjoyed that. Some of the humor was really well done. Some of it I was kind of like, but like 90%, I thought it was really funny and enjoyed that monologue. It is dual POV. I feel like the spice of this book was very overdone. This was one that I would give as an example. You're barely into the book and it's already hitting it, and it was very oversaturated. Like I was just kind of there was one scene, I'm just gonna say Princess Bride, when you get there, that I thought was very good. There was another one that was I don't want to spoil. There was another one that I was questioning some pew safety that was happening there, but most of it I was just kind of like cringing at some point. Like I almost wanted to skip past it. I was like, can we get back to the story? I just didn't connect with the main characters. I'm not big on the whole stalking thing. Like, I liked Lights Out, which was an exception, but I thought that one was like hilarious. The audio was good. Like that one was very well done, and I can move past it. This one I struggled with a little bit, which I get they were married and everything, but I don't know, it just kind of creeps me out actually thinking about it. I also got irritated with the main male character, with Cade, especially something that occurs towards the end, a decision that he was trying to make. Just made me so mad. And again, withholding of information for protecting characters, he just irritated me sometimes. And then the overuse of baby doll. I don't know, what are y'all's thoughts on baby doll as a term of endearment? Because I can understand doll, like especially like in a Western, like being Southern, I get like the doll or doll face, like I get that in Western world, but baby doll just kind of always weirds me out, and it is used a lot. That's more excessive than the spice was. Like I just kept kind of cringing a little bit when I'd see it. I also guessed the twist like from very, very early on. I don't want to spoil anything, but I kind of could see it coming from a mile away. So it wasn't a surprise. It just ultimately didn't hit for me. I think, now I will say recommendation-wise, I will still say maybe. It wasn't for me, but I do think a lot of people will like it. I think this would be for some of those dark romance people, like if you're big on the motorcycle helmet and all of that. I think you will really love it. Maybe if I'd read the first one and already knew maybe the writing style or something, maybe I would have enjoyed it more. I don't know if I want to try the first one or not. The friendship and sisterhood, like I said, was really great. Some of the humor was amazing. There was that one really good spicy scene, but I just ultimately didn't really connect with the main characters much, was frustrated with the male character, and was not shocked by the twist in any way, shape, or form. So, and of course the withholding of information always makes me mad. So I unfortunately gave it 3 stars, but I do think some people will like it, so maybe give it a chance, especially if you're like a dark romance helmet person. You may really enjoy it. That was my wrap up for July. Like I said, follow me at bookish.cj on TikTok and Instagram, and I will see you guys later. Bye.